Can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
LegacyMaker, the All Sports Network, presents a SIRTOBA media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
What? I'm better than you. And you know it.
Hello, everyone. We are live with episode 3 of the Kayfabe Express. I am your host, Drew Willingham, along with this week's very special guest. He is one part of one fantastic Bloodline story that is within the WWE, not in it, but he is part of the thickness within that bloodline that you could say definitely has a very, very great family tree. He is also currently the MLW Tag Team Champion. Give it up for Lance Anoa'i. Welcome to the show, brother.
Man, thanks for having me, man. You know, glad to be here and represent for the Bloodline, man.
Hey, anytime, my man. And especially with that shirt that you got going on right there that not many can see, but you definitely got the shirt on right there to represent as well. So we all thank you for being here tonight, my man.
Oh, man, thanks for having me.
So with everything going on, you've definitely had one interesting road, you know, from start to where you are now. And it's not like many typical, ones within the business who've got a lineage, you know, that spans back for multiple generations. With you now being a third generation superstar, what was it like to be, you know, the son of one of the legendary head shrinkers growing up as a young kid?
Man, it was tough, man. Like my dad used to whoop my ass. Nah, but man, just growing up in a family and being able to travel with my father to different towns, different arenas, meet all these stars, especially as a young kid. Like I remember X-Pac always told me a story about how my dad used to just ride in the locker room, put me on his suitcase and just bring me right along that way. And then just pass me along during his match. Everybody would just pass me along to watch me as he's out there wrestling in like the garden or wherever he is.
That's so like the best daycare to be a part of.
Exactly. Like I wish I remember most of it, but the only time I ever is like hearing just these stories from everybody.
Man, I miss those days. I mean, nowadays you can't even discipline kids like they were disciplining us back in the day. Like my mom had this attitude adjuster paddle that she used to get me with. It was called the attitude adjuster. It hung up on the hook. And when your boy got out of line, you were definitely seeing action from the attitude adjuster. So,
oh yeah,
nowadays you can't do that.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, because I got a younger sister who's 13, and man, I said you're growing up way different than the way we grew up. You got it easy now.
Yeah, exactly. You know, speaking of which, with growing up and with you having cousins and stuff that you're close with and you know you've seen grow and evolve throughout the business like yourself, how close were you guys growing up? Like, were you guys into sports and doing stuff together, or were the ages a little bit too much of a gap where you guys weren't doing too much together?
So me and like Roman and the Usos, like they're all were raised in Florida, San Francisco, California, all there. I'm pretty much one of the only ones based out of Pennsylvania, which is the East Coast, and along with my uncle Alpha Jr. So I would say me and him, like growing up, that's one of the closer ones I grew up with. We used to wrestle in my grandfather's backyard, jump off ladders into the swimming pool, jump off the roof, like the patio deck. Man, we just used to have like backyard wrestling. He had 8 rings in the shed. Sometimes he'll set up the ring in the backyard, have weapons match in the front. So that was really one of the close, like growing up with was my uncle Alpha Jr. for sure.
Now, did you guys like have any type of like family gatherings or whatnot? Like everybody has like a, you know, not everybody, but a lot of families do like a family reunion like once a year.
Oh,
you all kind of
yeah, man.
Together or something.
We do family reunions, man. Like the Big Samoan culture, man. We're very big on family. And when we're there, when we had the family reunion, we shut the whole place down wherever we go. Like we just had one in Pensacola, Florida this past November for Thanksgiving. So they shut basically a quarter of the beach down for the whole family. And man, we're just cooking like 300-400 pounds of chicken every time we're cooking.
Wow.
Yeah. Like it's big, man. Like, and we just vibe out, man, and have a good time. Like just catch up, especially now we're all grown and have kids, and just our kids meeting their kids, and just, man, the bloodline is just keep going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like it is like evolving as the days go by. I know one thing that was big with me and my family growing up is when we would get together, we play wiffle ball. So like when we had like family gatherings or whatnot, I didn't know if like when you guys got up, even if it was like once a year, since you were multi-faceted with sports as well, with playing baseball and stuff, we'll get into in a second, you know, with your cousin Joe, Roman Reigns doing football, and with what he had with his football career going into it. And of course, your other cousins with the Usos doing football as well. I didn't know if you guys like did anything like that when you would get up for these family events and like do some type of sporting event or whatnot while you guys were doing these reunions or whatnot.
Nah, not really, man. Like the last reunion I remember, other than this past one, we would do like the potato sack racing, and
okay,
we just be swimming, camping, man. Like, so a lot of us, the younger generation, at a family reunion, it's our duty basically to cater. We do all the cooking, the cleaning, we do everything. So most of the time, if you catch us at a reunion, we're either on the grill, setting the table, getting everything ready for our elders. Like I remember I was on the grill from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and I didn't get one plate of food.
Wow. Hey, man, but it's going to come back to you one day, though, because with you serving the elders now, what goes around comes around. So eventually,
exactly.
You're going to be at that other side of it, and you're going to get that point of it as well.
I tell my kids, man, they got it easy. But
yeah.
wait till we all get together.
Hey, man, you can always start them in the kitchen. You can always start them in the kitchen soon and be like, hey, this is your practice when you're serving me when you get older. But no, man, that's definitely great. And with that, you know, I was talking about baseball and everything. Not many people know this except for some of the podcasts that you've said it on, you know, with what you've had. And I thought it was really awesome because me, with my background with baseball too, that you had an actual baseball career leading up to your senior year of high school. Tell us a little bit about that, and that wrestling wasn't even plan A in the cards. Like it was actually a plan B.
Man, wrestling was never, like, growing up, it was never there for me. Like it was there, but I just never thought about doing it. My dream was always to play baseball. I played baseball since I was 4 or 5 years old, all the way up into high school. I was one of the only freshmen in high school to make the varsity team. I was a pitcher, outfielder, catcher. I was wherever you needed me, I would go. And then my senior year, I ended up getting injured. I tore my meniscus in my knee. It wasn't a long recovery, but it definitely did set things back, especially in your senior year. And then from there, my dad always told me wrestling's always there. And then that's kind of what I fell back onto, because for baseball, I wasn't going anywhere once I got injured. I went to college. I didn't like it. And then my mind was really just set on professional wrestling. And then from there, the rest is history. What are we, 13 years down the road now?
Yeah, I mean, that's time flies when you're having fun.
I know, man.
When you can definitely tell that you're having fun out there. I thought that was pretty remarkable, because with your family tree, that's part of, you know, like we said earlier with Roman Reigns, you got the Usos. Before all that, you got your legendary father as part of the Head Shrinkers. Then on top of that, you know, I guess you could say as one of the top pillars of the family tree with The Rock, with as far as Dwayne The Rock Johnson got up there. You mean to tell me that watching all this as a kid, you had no aspirations? That was the plan B. Like, that's what I think is remarkable. You had no plans.
It was always my plan B, man. Like, I just enjoyed watching them on TV. Like, and traveling, like I love being at the shows. I love like traveling on the weekends. If I didn't have a tournament or anything going on, I'd love to be right next to my dad, staying at different hotels, going swimming, man, just being there present. But I never thought I'd get in the ring.
That's definitely very awesome to know that. My man has got all this like VIP access, and he decides, you know, I just want to do something different. But at the same time, it's a lot more respect for you to try something outside of it first, and eventually still find your way into it, because it was always still a passion of yours.
Yeah, like I told you, like growing up, like all of our my uncle Rikishi, my uncle Sika, my grandfather, my dad, they always told all of us wrestling is always there. It's not going anywhere. So do what we want first. And if worst come to worst, it's always there. So, yeah, we played baseball, football, went to college, did our thing. Things didn't work out, and look where we all end up.
That's awesome. And speaking of that, like, around that time, 17 years old was a pretty impactful year because of you having that knee injury and having to switch some things up. And if I remember right, it was like October and you had to make some changes before your birthday in February, which, by the way, happy belated birthday. Like, I sent you a text last week, but on camera, man, just had a birthday last week. So happy birthday.
31, man. I'm getting old.
Yeah. Hey, man, age is just a number. I'm 5 years ahead of you. So we're not going to say the words old quite yet because I'm still hanging with the kids with this, but when it comes to like you're 17, it's October, you got till February, so like a good 4 months before you turn 18, because in the state of Pennsylvania, from what you were saying, like you have to be 18 to be a professional wrestler. What was it like for that grind, getting that training from your father and your uncle and stuff, going over the next 4 months, getting ready to be 18 years old and to start out on a new path?
Man, it was tough. Like I had to get pushed hard because I came off the injury. And at the time I was still playing baseball in my senior year. Like I was injured for some of it, but playing out. So I was baseball, wrestling. It was just back and forth. And he just pushed me. And my goal was to have my first match in my hometown of Allentown, Pennsylvania when I turned 18. So he just pushed me as hard as possible to get me ready. I had to learn how to bump. I had to learn psychology. I had to learn everything in a short amount of time just to prepare myself to have at least a decent match, man. And now when I watch back on that match, whew, man, I wish I would have never did
it. So it's true. Like when you're taking a bump, it's like each bump is like being in a car wreck.
Yes, it is. It's shaking up your body, and it's definitely like being hit by a car.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember growing up, and I was doing actually amateur wrestling in high school as well, and I was a big fan of WWF at the time and the Attitude Era, and people were telling me don't watch that stuff because it's not real, it's fake or whatever. And be like, yeah, it might be like the storylines might be scripted, but them falling from like turnbuckle is real. Them like Jeff Hardy doing that nuts stuff that he was doing off of ladders and diamond swantons off top of ladders and stuff back then. All that stuff was nuts. So when you think about that, and the higher you go, the more risk of the fall is. So yes, this stuff is absolutely really effective. You might know, and some things are predetermined, and some things change throughout the course of a match, depending on the crowd flow and all that, and depending on what the atmosphere is at the same time. But at the same time, you still wake up the next morning feeling like you went to work the day before.
Man, I'm like just talking to people, man. Like they still think like wrestling is not real, and they're like, oh, they see me get hit with a chair shot. They want to say the chair is like rubber or plastic. Or I said, no, that's a metal chair getting hit to my head.
Yeah. So now, of course, they've changed some things up with safety things. It's kind of like the NFL and the NBA and all the other sports. It's like they've changed some things to try to help out with the whole CTE deal and stuff like that. And speaking of all that and the risk of everything, when you were at 17 going into 18 and trying to forge your own path into this profession, were there any family members, based on experience of what you've seen within the hierarchy of the family tree, was there anybody inside of there saying, hey, that you shouldn't be doing this? Like you should be thinking of another path, trying to talk you out of it?
The only one that ever tried to like growing up, and then after I told him I wanted to pursue wrestling, was my grandfather. He wanted me to continue playing baseball and pursuing college. He was very against me, and then me and my father had to kind of convince him to let me do it. And then from there, man, he just kind of rolled with us, and we ended up having I believe in like 2014, maybe. I ended up bringing my grandfather out of retirement, and we had 3 generations in one wrestling ring.
That was pretty awesome. I remember reading up about that and seeing you talking about that in other shows. And I was trying to find it. I couldn't quite find it. But since we're at that point in the show, because it was at a very early point in your career, and because it looked like you had come fresh off of the baseball diamond, like you had put on the weight that you have for now, the legendary Samoan weight.
Let's
go ahead.
All the mayonnaise, man.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and show the fans a little bit of a clip from that time where you actually got to tag with your father and let them see how this turned out.
Anoa'i.
So looking at that clip right there, you know, an earlier stage in your career, you're with Pops and you hear him say, "That's my son." How happy of a moment is that, looking back on how things have gone since that point? I mean, it looks like, you know, the days of your dad have kind of wind down with everything that's happened with health-wise and everything.
Oh,
And
man.
you are where you are at in that moment. How cool is that to look back on that and say, I had those moments with my dad?
Man, that's awesome, man. Like, just still watching that right now, man, it makes me proud. Like, to have the opportunity to be in the ring with my father as much as I did. We done tag tournaments. We actually wrestled a lot together. One of our tag names were Vicious and Delicious. I told him that he was the delicious one. I was the vicious one. Me there at like 160 pounds, man.
That's awesome.
But yeah, just being there with my father, being in the ring, it makes me do a lot of work because, you know, being the young one, and he makes me do all of the bumping and everything. But man, I'll do anything for him, and I'm glad to be his son and just be able to have the opportunity to tag with him. I tagged with my uncles, I tagged with my grandfather, like I said, I tagged with my uncle Rikishi, like everybody, and just having the honor to do that, it's a blessing, man.
You know, spending those times, the growing pains, as they can say, you know, because you're learning a lot. And, you know, from what it sounds like, you learned a lot from your grandfather and your father, and then even from your cousins, like working with them, you know, now Solo Sikoa with Sefa Fatu before, you know, working with him before he moved up to NXT, and with what he's doing in the Bloodline story. But, you know, with working with everyone within this bloodline of yours, who do you think outside, let's take your grandfather and your father outside this, since they were big with training you, okay? If you were to name one person in your entire family that you've had that's had the most impact outside of them, could you give someone? Could you say that there's been one person that's made more of an impact? No, not that your grandfather, your father, because the training part, but outside of everybody else, has anybody else had more of a maximum impact
in the family?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say probably the Usos. Not necessarily training wise, but wisdom wise. Like, I like when I was a few years ago, I would send them matches and they'll critique them, let me know what I did wrong, how should I switch things up. You know, they were in the game for just as long as I have, but they've been on top. They know the ropes of it, and they're trying to teach me. So if the opportunity ever comes again for me to go up, I'm prepared for it. So I believe that they're one of the top ones.
That's awesome. And especially with when people will watch your matches, like, you've got kind of a little bit of everybody in the family mixed up into your skill sets, because you got the super kick. I've seen you with the spear. I've seen you with the Superman punch. Like, you got everything in your arsenal and you utilize them. And your time is going to come. I mean, you were still, like, age is just a number. So if you can still move,
like people think that's all that we can do, man. We can actually go. We can do a lot of other things. Man, you ever seen a 250-pound 450 splash?
And who's on the receiving end of that is
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
going to feel that the next day too.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. But yeah, man, we like to have fun out there. Like, to us, it's work, but man, like that's how we are in real life. Like, especially being able to tag with Jacob Fatu for a while, man, who's a killer on the indie scenes, man. He's just all up and down the whole country. He's just rocking it, and I had the opportunity to tag with him for a bunch of times down in Gangrel's wrestling company down in Florida, and from there our chemistry was just on point. I do wish I did had the opportunity to showcase it with him on like a mainstream show. Maybe one day we'll be able to do it on MLW, but who knows? But I definitely think our chemistry is one of the greatest.
It definitely shows in your matches too. I mean, and that makes up a good portion of what storytelling is all about when it comes to professional wrestling as well. So now with speaking with the earlier part leading on into like to where you're at now, is there, and I'd like to ask everybody this, is there a particular story where you'd faced adversity? Like it could be a tire blowing out. It could be, you're late for a flight or late for a rental car pickup or whatever. Was there like a particular part when it comes to adversity that you have faced that has made you like this impacted you on like the road to a show? Like you were either late, you didn't make it or whatnot.
Man, the only thing I ever done was I triple booked myself for 3 shows. It was my dad's company. It was, I forget the other company, but they were all like within an hour apart. And I was at, I believe, MLW, and I was coming from MLW. I wrestled Rich Swann, and it ended up being longer than what it was supposed to be. And so I did MLW first, and then I was supposed to go to this other company. I forget the name of it. It was in Reading, Pennsylvania. And then I was going to finish off at my dad's company in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So I did the opening match at MLW, wrestled. It went a little longer than I thought. I sat in traffic from Philadelphia to Reading. I ended up missing that show. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to go do skip that show, go do my dad's show. And I ended up missing my dad's show also.
It was that triple book karma, my man.
Oh, yeah. I was like, man, I'm never doing this one again.
Yeah, come on, Google Calendar. Google Calendar should have done a better job like helping you out on that. But mistakes happen or whatnot. I like asking everybody that because at some point, whether it's just like a triple booking or you're driving, tire blows out or something happens, at some point in your career, you're going to face some type of adversity that's going to hold you back from either being late or completely missing a show altogether.
Oh, always.
So that way, at least from the other ones out there, if it's don't go through Enterprise or pick a different car or place or whatever. Like you can help the fans know.
Yourself.
Don't triple book yourself. So, you fast forward a couple years. So we'll say, I believe it was 2017, 2018. You had the honor and privilege of being in the ring with Shane O'Mac on Monday Night Raw.
2019.
Yep, 2019. Okay.
Okay.
So it was before the pandemic. Okay.
Yeah, it was right before. It was Memorial Day of 2019.
Okay, so good. You perfect timing because at least it wasn't a year later with the way everything's changed since then. But and we'll get into that in a second. But when it comes to facing Shane O'Mac, what was it like talking with him behind the scenes? How is he like as a person? Is he pretty like well-rounded, kind of down to earth individual considering where he comes from?
Man, like I was kind of like before I even knew about that, I didn't know what I was doing, and then when Shane came up to me and said it's me and him, I was like, oh man, all right. I didn't know what to kind of really what to expect. So then once I started talking to him, like he was really cool. Like he was like asking me questions if anything I want to do, get in, like what can I do? And then we just went over a few things. And even when we went back to catering, he sat next to me in catering and just continued to talk. It was just kind of like our families connecting. And yeah, to see that from Shane, like how high up like he is, it was an honor just to be there and be in the ring with him.
And you could definitely tell with the way that they have, especially since Roman's come back from battling leukemia, okay, and coming back with what happened with that, you could tell how much respect that Vince McMahon has for your family and with everything that he does to kind of showcase you guys on TV. Like I thought that was pretty awesome that, you got that background there, and your match on Raw is with Shane O'Mac.
I know, man. It was crazy. Like I honestly so that Monday it was on Raw. So I got that Monday. So that Friday or Saturday, they called me and say, "Hey, man, are you free on Monday?" And of course, like WWE calls if you're not free, you're free.
I would not be mad at you not showing up to like this show if they called you to say,
"Hey, we got
hey,
man, like, okay, I'm calling sick out of work,
Yeah, like, we can reschedule this later. Like, but you got to go to WWE. Yeah, of course.
So they contacted me for that, and I had no idea what I was doing. We're sending your flight itinerary, your rental car, hotel, all that info, and I ended up going Sunday night and go Monday. I still had no idea what I was doing until I arrived in the building and seen Shane, and Shane let me know. And then from there, man, we were supposed to get a lot more time. I was supposed to get a whole lot of more moves on him besides just a drop kick, but the whole Brock Lesnar boombox went a little too long, so our time got cut. But it's all good, man. Like, I still enjoy the opportunity.
So Joe didn't even know what was going on. He had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, nobody told me.
Wow. So like you're not even in the loop. He doesn't even know, and this is exactly what happens. You're fake because the storyline they had in the moment, they were both going back and forth at that time. So it was fitting for that moment. But what was it like? And I'll play this 6-second clip because I didn't want to put too much of it on there. But what was it like to have this moment with him on TV at that point?
And if it weren't for the Scottish psychopath, things could have gotten a lot worse for the best in the world.
Yeah, you two on national TV, man.
I know. I made a few bucks off of 8x10s for that one. Nah, but man, just like I said, everybody I'm in the ring with, man, it's always an honor. Like after the match, just me and him walking to the back, he just critiqued the whole match for me and broke it down. And as I watch it back, I see what I could have done different and how we could have made it better. But I just lived in the moment, man, and being in there with now the top guy, man, it's crazy. Like I talk to my cousin probably every day, 7 days a week. I talk to him now, and we're all very close to each other now.
That's awesome, considering, like, with what you've said before, like you being a very humble person within your family, that you guys are that tight to where you still can communicate no matter how big you get on a platform, that you guys, like, the family still sticks together. Like, I love hearing that. Like, that's awesome.
Like the four of us, me, Roman, the Usos, man, we're all in a group chat and we're just constantly talking. Even though it's about video games, but it's
so what, y'all playing together or whatnot? You playing Call of Duty or something?
Yeah, we're on Call of Duty all the time.
Okay.
But but it's awesome just to get the bond going, and like it's more than just Call of Duty. It's just family chatting, catching up. Like my kids love going to the Usos house, or we like going to Roman's to hang out. Like it's all love, man.
So speaking of which, now that we've brought it up, Call of Duty, you guys playing. Has he ever, like, at the end of the game where, like, you could all, like, talk smack to each other in the team? Does he, like, acknowledge me when he whoops their ass or something?
Nah.
Or is he's kayfabe? You don't want anybody to know.
Oh, yeah, definitely kayfabe.
Okay, cool. All right,
but we got a few of my friends that are on there with us, and they're all pretty cool with us, and they'll usually do the trash talking for him.
He's got his own wise men in real life too.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
I call them my honorary uses.
The real ones that will not get destroyed in Montreal.
Exactly.
So, were you there for that? Did you go to that show?
From Montreal?
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't.
You didn't?
I wish.
That show, that crowd, like that was electric. I know you watched it, but it's like,
oh yeah,
it was electric, like watching that. And it's like, there were certain points in that storytelling has just gotten great. Like Vince did great things for so many years, but you can definitely tell a difference in the creative direction since Triple H has taken over. And the storytelling, it's still like Vince was doing great things, but it's like Triple H takes it over the top, and it's like it's watching a soap opera. And then when you watch, like, the XFL was this past weekend, the Rock's XFL. And I watched all 4 games of that, too, because I'm a big football buff. Okay?
Really?
Yeah, I'm huge football, and that's what I cover here for Legacy Maker too. Besides, I just started bringing the professional wrestling mark part of it with this show that you're now episode 3 with here. But I can say with watching XFL this past weekend, it was like watching a WWE live event, especially when you watch the DC Defenders throwing actual lemons onto the field because they took their beer snake away. They took the beer snake away, and they're throwing lemons, and you got The Rock and Danny Garcia chilling there on the sideline, and they are throwing lemons onto the field. I absolutely love it.
Oh, so they were actually at the game?
They went to all 4 games because the way it was scheduled. Yeah, because like one was at like 3:00 in the afternoon, the other one was like 7. So they would show up to the first one, wave, you do all the political stuff, then get on the plane and drive on and go on over to the next game, do the same thing, and then go to the next city the next day. They did it because there was 4 games. There's 8 teams. 4 games, 2 games per day, the way that it was mapped out. They were able to go and do the little sign, meet and greet stuff.
Okay.
And they're throwing lemons onto the field, which gave the other team momentum to come back. It was absolutely great. But
I got to ask my boys about that because my other boys that we play Call of Duty with, they're Defenders fans, so they were at the game.
Mm-hmm. So, ask them about taking the beer snake away. The biggest things once you take away from this podcast when it comes to XFL is remember the beer snake being taken away and throwing lemons onto the field, what in the father what was going on when that was happening. So that's like my biggest thing that I suggest when we bring up the XFL. But, with all that being said, it's kind of like when you see the creative direction go in different ways and you can see like what I was getting at before, like Vince holds your family to a high regard because, with everything that was going on with Roman before, and the biggest line that was dropped was suffering succotash. And so many people hated it when he was doing that, when he was part of the Shield, going on his own. And you could see how things in a creative direction were kind of spiraling out of control. Then he comes back, and you guys have the Bloodline story. He's the tribal chief, everybody acknowledging him. And you can see where there is so much more room for growth. Now, you got some turmoil going on right now going into WrestleMania. Okay. Which, things are a little bit different. One of the last podcast I watched you on before prepping for today was, I believe it was the Promote Yourself podcast or something like that. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it was from like 2 years ago when Jay and Roman were going against each other around SummerSlam because the two of them were beefing, of course, because he didn't want to acknowledge him as the tribal chief of all that stuff. Main event Jey Uso and everything. And now fast forward, it is February of 2023. Sami Zayn just got decimated, this past weekend. You got Jay standing there. It was Jimmy shows up. He beats the hell out of Sammy. Then Roman gets the win and all that stuff. Then you got Jay standing there. He's standing in front of Sammy saying, "Yo, dog, you're doing the wrong thing here. You are way out of line. This thing is crumbling out of control."
Sammy chose the wrong side, man.
Yeah. So, and then of course you got Jay, got your cousin there. Do you think? And before we go too far off with this one, do you think that this thing continues on after WrestleMania, or could we see potentially this thing fall apart a little bit going into that moment in LA?
I think the bloodline continues even after WrestleMania, man. It's I think it's the best thing in wrestling probably in decades, man. It's like it brought all the attention back into wrestling. I know people that haven't watched wrestling in years now, they're all of a sudden they're back into it. Even though it's family, I think our family is the highest point, man. Like you said, Vince McMahon respects our family, and having a member of our family, probably in the last 40, 50 years, one of our family members always been in WWE, whether it's from my grandfather to my father, to Yokozuna, to the Rock era, to Umaga, Rikishi. Then you got Manu, Roman, the Usos, man. We're just still going. And that's 40, 50 years down the line. And that, sorry. And we just keep providing more. You still got the indies. You still got me. You got Jacob. You still have my cousin Journey. Umaga's younger son, man, just started training with Booker T. We're still growing, and the bloodline just keeps going. So I don't see this bloodline slowing it down anytime soon. I think we're just going to keep adding. And
at one point, you were the youngest one.
At one point, I was the youngest.
Yeah, and then you got Sefa coming up. Now Solo Sikoa is gone in, and it's like And I'm watching with what you're doing, especially now with MLW, now that you're being showcased in a little bit more of a higher platform with reels and everything. So with you being showcased with where you're at now in MLW, I feel like you are so close to whether it's joining them up there in the Bloodline or carving out your own path, because, a lot of things that people didn't really acknowledge until, before he joined the Bloodline, like Solo was doing like his own stuff in NXT and was doing great things in NXT to where he could have branched off and done his own thing. He didn't necessarily need to join a stable, but for the story and for everything within what we were just talking about, it was great for that. And for you to have a hand in that, because without you being there with him through the journey going on up, even though he's, like you've said in other interviews, like you guys, your family are fast learners, like you guys just pick it up real quick, and he picked it up at the age of what he is, picked it up real quick. But you had a hand in that, my man. He would not be where he's at without you today, so be proud of that.
Oh, I am, man. And just being able to even wrestle him the one time we did, it was awesome. We always learn in the ring when we're with each other, no matter who we're in the ring. But for him being such a young, basically green guy, like pretty new in the business, and then getting in the ring, he listened well, man. He was just, like we said, we're fast learners. And he just went, man. And then from there, the sky was the limit for him. He just kept pushing himself. He had his son on the way. Then he had another son, man. So he just knew what his goal was just to keep pushing, and he wanted to make his kids proud. And man, now I see videos of them imitating his entrance, man, at like 2 years old, man, and they're loving it. So that's something to be proud of for him.
Especially that small spike, like that hit to the chest. Like,
oh yeah,
that looks like it hurts, man. Like just taking one of those units. Like I felt bad for little Sami Zayn taking it the moment that he crossed the Bloodline. I was like, oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Oh,
like
sure,
it went like he got spiked hard, but it took that bump like a champ. But back to you, man. Like, you've got some other great things to be proud of. And speaking of, before we get to that moment, we've got COVID that came. COVID ruined every mother-fathering thing. Like it really did. Everything. Everybody took a hit when it came to COVID. Me, myself, like everyone in this United States took some type of hit. Okay. What was it like, going into 2020? You've been in the business for a while. It's been about a decade you've been in the business. COVID hits. All of a sudden, everything shuts down. What's Lance Anoa'i doing during that time when everything is shut down?
Man, playing a lot of Call of Duty. No, but honestly, man, yeah, that was really pretty much it. Like, I was afraid to wrestle. Like, the few shows that were being run, I was very afraid because of my family and especially my dad's health problem. I didn't want to get anybody sick, so I always try to push that back as far as possible. But other than that, man, just kind of, I did still work here and there, not often, because, everything did slow down. I did work for American Airlines, so our flights were very limited. And yeah, like I gave it almost a whole year till I stepped in the ring. So I beat COVID, never got anything. I waited a whole year, wrestled my first show, and then 2 weeks later, tested positive for COVID.
Oh, that sucks.
I was like, man, and it was right on Thanksgiving, man. I lost my taste buds. I lost everything. Like, I was so upset. I could not eat. I couldn't. So it was kind of bad, but man, like I held off that long. And after I just agreed to do one show, I test positive. My wife was pretty mad at me.
It's like, you go through all this time and luckily with what I do full time, which actually we'll get to that in a minute, but I put in my 2 weeks notice today. So congratulations to me. So I guess I got a new opportunity.
Congrats, man.
Thanks, bro. After 5.5 years and I'll remember today, the day that Lance Anoa'i was here, I put in my 2 weeks notice at 5.5 years, but I work for Geek Squad. So I go into people's houses, do field
Okay.
services. I like to say I pimp out their living room because I do home theater work. So like you need an
Man,
86-inch TV on your wall.
I need
you.
a lot done here.
Hey man, I'll make a trip to PA at some point. We'll have a conversation.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we, even though I'm leaving, I still have my own personal tools that I've had for quite some time. Which it's like riding a bike. It's not hard putting a TV up there. If you need an 86-inch TV up there, if you need a person mount on the wall, hell, let me know. I can help you out. But doing that and meeting a lot of different people within that realm is helping me out with what I do here on the side with the journalism stuff. And I can say that I'm blessed that during that time frame that I didn't miss a single day of work. You got like 15% of the company working for Best Buy who owns Geek Squad. And I'm one of that 15% never left. And I feel bad for people out there that got furloughed or just completely fired because they're making downsizes and stuff. And with talking about this with other professional wrestlers within your realm as well, and seeing how affected it was like you had to have a part-time job or something else going on with you saying American Airlines. I got another one that's a dental assistant and another one who's an actual booker for a part of an NWA representative in Tennessee who had to shut down everything for like 4 or 5 months. Luckily, Tennessee didn't have everything as highly restricted as we do here on the East Coast because I'm in Virginia and when you talk about Pennsylvania. So it's like, we saw higher restrictions in our area of the U.S. because we're so close to D.C. and all the higher traffic and all that traffic. So with all that high traffic going in through it, like we were one of the last ones to have restrictions lifted. So I thought it was pretty interesting. And you can go back, check on episode 2, Golden Boy Greg Anthony, who was actually an extra on Dwayne's show, Young Rock. So it was pretty funny. It was like, I think it was like episode 4.
How do I become an extra? Man?
I know, man. Like, yeah. But yeah, I think he had some type of connection that got him into it. So like all of you guys have been great, down to earth. And I appreciate you taking the time and especially when it came to, COVID. You talking about you played a lot of Call of Duty, taking a little bit of a break, putting some things aside for a little bit. Finally, you come back, you get COVID. With my story, I didn't get COVID at all till last October. Wow. And it hit me like a ton of bricks because I'm like, I'm Superman in my 30s. Like everything's tight. I don't need this shot or whatever. Like I was kind of scared of it for a little while. Well, then all of a sudden I get it. And it was the worst 6 days of my life, bro. And one thing I'll tell you face to face, thing I told you in a text, because when you're talking about you were sick a couple weeks ago, if you had COVID, use elderberry syrup. It comes from a farm or whatnot here in Powhatan. I can send you the link. Well, I took that elderberry syrup and within 2 days, I had my taste back and my smell back. And it was by like day 6 that I was like doing it. 4 and 5, I took the elderberry syrup. On day 6, I was fine, COVID free, and could taste my dinner that night. And I've been fine ever since.
Dang.
So I'll send you the link. Elderberry syrup is where it's at. And that way, in case you have a family member. You did
send me that, man.
Yeah.
Because I was sick a couple of days ago just with a little cold, man. Because this weather on the East Coast, man, 65 degrees one day, 30 the next, man. It just keeps coming and going, man.
This weather's nuts, man. It is pneumonia weather. Like,
up. Like we were just in, so we went me and my father, we went and did a watch party at Jimmy's Seafood down in Baltimore for the chamber. And it was 65, and then I come back home, it's 30. I'm like, man. So now my kids are sick. I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? And then I see Thursday, man, it's almost 70 degrees, and then they're calling for snow on Saturday. I'm like,
it's nuts, bro. Like I no matter if it's gotten to 70 degrees, I've kept a hoodie on the whole time because I'm not taking any chances. There's too many great things going on with the announcement of, like I said, I gave my 2 weeks notice in the email earlier. We're having an exit interview tomorrow morning, and I only have to work tomorrow on PTO for 7 days, work next Thursday, and on PTO until my final day with the company. I'm taking advantage of it because I knew what was going on. Your boy's a legend. I'm out.
Might as well.
But it's been a fun ride. Like I can't throw any shade on my company. Like I just had to get a great opportunity that like I'd be a fool to pass up. And it allows me also more time to do with what I'm doing here and to continuously build here. As like I've worked with people that have had like 4-year degrees saying, how in the blank are you doing some of the things you're doing by yourself? Even though I'm part of a network, we all kind of like have our own niches through there. We all have our own job, kind of like you have the upper, middle, and lower card of professional wrestling. We all have our job. I don't know how in the hell I find a way to stay up in the upper card, but I'm doing the best I can out here in these streets. If you ever get a chance to see the other show,
I'm gonna call you the top dog, man.
you can see it. This show's still growing, but the In or Out Sports Debate is my baby. Brian H. Waters will tell you, him and the wrestling realm have been on there. Like, that is my absolute baby there. And speaking of baby, outside of your kids, you recently just earned a little strap, little baby. Speaking with MLW or whatnot.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I didn't see that episode yet, man.
Ah! It says it on the internet. You need to tell Wikipedia to calm the blank down.
Is it on tonight? Maybe on Reels? No. I did get a lot. My bag got a lot heavier. I'll say that. I thought it was going to just be 10 pounds, but no, it's a lot more than 10 pounds.
For you to be in the company, like, you just signed in May of last year, like towards the end of May last year. I think it was May 27th, if I remember right. You've been in the company for like 8-9 months now, man. And you're already at the top of the chain in the tag team division. What was it like, the journey coming back from COVID? We were just talking about banging around the indies a little bit into where you're getting into the door MLW, which is a pretty prestigious company as well. It's I put it up there in the hierarchs of like AEW and stuff like that too. They just don't have a nationally syndicated TV deal,
especially now with our new TV deal for Reels. So that's a big help. And we air tonight actually on 10 p.m. on Reels. But man, just like our family goes back history with MLW also. My grandfather, my uncle, Umaga Eki at the time, they were part of the original MLW. And then you had I was brought in 2018, actually had my first match with MLW against MJF. Was my very first match with MLW.
Oh, the guy we had in the intro. So is he really a prick in real life? Like, or is he a down to earth dude who just
nah, man? He's who he is.
He is.
Nah, MJF is awesome, man. Like, just talking with him, like, he was just coming up also. Back in 2018, he got done trading with Kurt Hawkins and Pat Buck at Creative Pro, and he was just playing his gimmick, man. And it was. That's how a lot of people do it, man. That's how they make it, man. And now he's the top dog in AEW. Nothing but respect for him. And then fast forward, then after that, man, they brought MLW, they brought Jacob in. And from there, man, now you have the whole Contra unit. You have a monster. He was the longest reigning champion in history. And now my numbers are all off. I don't know if he still is. I don't know how long Hammerstone been champion, but yeah, like, and now you got the three of us recreating, rebranding the new era Samoa SWAT team. Man, and that's just awesome. Just being in the ring with Juicy, who's young and hungry, just like the rest of our family was growing up, especially like Solo, man. It was just willing to learn and listen and just follow. And Juicy, man, he got a long road, but he's ready, man. I think he's ready to go. He could be a top dog at any company that brings him in.
You guys definitely shown it with the things that I've definitely seen you going around through YouTube and doing my research with it and everything. And speaking with MLW, like, wasn't that your first multi-year deal that you had when you signed that last year? Or was it like one of your major like deals that you've actually signed during that time frame?
So it was my first deal that I did sign. It's my first ever contract. They did offer me a few years ago, back in 2018 or 19. They offered me 5 years. I ended up turning it down, because at the time I was doing a lot of extra work with WWE, and then the opportunity with Shane came. It was just a big rotation, which I had to pass up on the deal. And then, what year are we? I'm trying to think. So December of 2021, I ended up having rotator cuff surgery done. So I was out of action for 6 months, and just to get flow, things ready to go, MLW brought me in. They said, hey, man, we want to offer you a deal. I didn't sign it because I just came off injury. That is something I want to do. The years were lower. Jacob was there. Juicy was there. I knew I'd be with family. So I knew WWE wasn't right there at the moment. Now, the opportunity could have came because of the whole Bloodline storyline. But now, man, I'm really enjoying just being part of the MLW roster with them too, and just being there. I'm learning from a lot of guys like Enzo, Hammerstone, Lindsay, Delirious, man, like they're all there. Mance Warner, like I'm learning from all of them, all these different styles, watching all of them. Especially Micro Man, and that's my little dog, man.
You brought up injuries, and that was something I meant to ask you. Like, kind of going with the adversity that we were talking about earlier. What's been probably the most substantial injury that you have suffered? Could be in the ring, and you woke up the next day and you noticed that you had something a little bit worse than what you were thinking it was the night before, and drove a little bit to the next town. Which one was it?
So, man, my shoulder injury was actually probably my worst one. And I did do that playing softball, actually.
You pulled a Sid Justice.
Not wrestling at all. Like, even though I felt pain, even though when I played in high school in my shoulder, and things just wear and tear after years of playing. So I eventually got it checked, and I ended up having a torn labrum, bicep, and a rotator cuff. So that was a 6-month recovery for me. And then also probably back in 2014 or 15, I did a dive to the outside. Person wasn't there to catch me. I ended up breaking my leg. So yeah, those were probably the 2 worst injuries. And then I didn't even know I broke my leg because I wrestled. I thought it was a bad cramp. I had changed the finish. I had changed everything mid-match. So I broke my leg like 45 seconds into the match, and I wrestled 8 minutes with a broken leg.
Wow.
Yeah. And then got in the car, drove 16 hours to Florida to find out my leg was broken.
Yeah, that's the part that I wanted to get you to talk about, was that, like, you think you got muscle cramps, you get in the car, you drive to the next town, you hop onto the doctor, like, yeah, I don't think I did anything too major. I just want to check this unit on out real quick. And they tell you broke your leg,
Yep.
and you must be they like this. It was either one of 2 ways. You are a damn fool walking this much on this plane right here, or you are a warrior with like a pain resistance.
They
like
called
no
me
other.
a warrior because they're like, man, we don't know how you're walking. We don't know how you did anything on that leg for 16 hours. And so that's my gas. That was my, like, me hitting the gas on that leg too.
That was the gas pedal leg too?
Oh yeah.
Wow, bro. Like, that's
pumping gas, like walking to the gas station, walking in, paying, using the bathroom. Man, like I drove 16 hours with a broken leg.
No aspirin, no ibuprofen, no Aleve, nothing?
Nothing. So
wow.
I drove all the way to Florida to wrestle.
Jesus, man. Like, if it were me.
And I was not able to wrestle.
You're more man than me, because I would have been like, yo, bro, find me a home rolled something. I got to get this pain going from down my side. I got to hit something, because this is out of mother, father, and control. Like, that was the biggest part. I didn't know about the shoulder injury, but I remember seeing on another show you talking about the leg and driving for like 16 hours. I thought that was pretty remarkable, because you're sitting in the same position for several hours, and it's your gas leg too. And you're getting out, pumping gas, moving around.
And I did all the driving.
Yeah, that's tough. That is toughness at its best right there. Before we get on out of here, there's one more thing that I want to bring up. We've gone through the other 2 clips, and I want to bring this up too, because it just recently happened, leading on up to the moment that I guess we can't talk about it anymore. But I'm going to play this clip and get your words on how it was to do this take and what it was like as far as this point in the storyline.
That was my moment. Tell Fatu never get in my way. That was my mother. What has EJ done? Get this damn camera out of my face.
MLW Underground, Tuesday, only on Reels.
A little promo for that show on Reels we were just talking about a little while ago, but
oh yeah, got a couple more hours.
Yeah, what was it like asking you about? I was talking to you about this before we went live in the green room. Tell our fans exactly what that was and why did he hit you in the back of the head with that unit?
Man, so EJ, man, he hit me in the back of the head with a brick. I was running late, man. Jacob and Juicy cut a promo looking where I was. I ended up being on the ground outside the building because of EJ. EJ knocked me out because Jacob cost EJ his title shot match against Hammerstone, because Jacob is the Battle Royal winner and he wants his title back. So he just put his nose in the business and cost him the title. It was the first time EJ has lost in MLW. His, I believe it's 2 years he'd been there. So that was his first loss ever. And, till things come straight, man, we're about to give him that second loss when we take that gold, man. Because him and Calvin Techman are the tag team champions as of now. Little spoiler alert.
Hey, man, some people are just poor sports, man. They just cannot handle it when they take the L.
Oh, I know, man. Just got to bring bricks in, man. But, it's all good, man. Paybacks due.
Hey, but there is a fine story of pie running through your lineage, and you're about to serve him some humble pie yet again with another deficit. I can see it coming.
Oh, yeah, man. So, I'm going to promise that one.
But, man, I look forward to seeing what you got coming up, and definitely we'll be checking you out on Reels. Guys, check out Lance Tuesday nights on Reels with MLW, but also here on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can check out his tees at Pro Wrestling Tees /Wrestler T-shirts, Lance Anoa'i. You can check that out. But, guys, we are here for episode 3 of the Kayfabe Express, and I could not have done it with anybody else other than this man, Lance Anoa'i. Thank you for your time there, brother.
Thank you for having me, man. It was a good time, man. Just, we're just shooting the shot, man, and just having fun.
Absolutely. That's how I like to do it here on the show, and hopefully at some point down the line you got some more stories to tell. As I try to keep things to where you watch certain shows and it's like, did you watch another show and figure out to ask that question or something? I try to at least bring a different bit of a twist and make it interesting for you, so I could tell on the other end that you are just as excited to be here as for myself and the fan as well.
Always, man. I love being on here, man. Just hearing all these different stories. Like when you showed me that clip, man, I never seen that clip of me and my dad till right now. And it was awesome. And maybe next time me and Juicy will be on here together live.
That's what I'm talking about.
Goal, man,
Hey, man, if Samu's got time and he feels like shooting it with me too, tell him the invitation's open. Man. I would definitely love to chop it up with him, but that's for another day. But I definitely, again, this is all you. Thank you again for taking the time out of Call of Duty tonight to be here with me, because
my squad is texting me right now looking for me.
To tell them you're on the way. And if you ever want to play with someone else, my name is I Pissed in Your Cola. That is my name on there. I'll text it to you as I'm trying to bring the entertainment to the game as I do right here. Guys, we got one last thing that we got to look at, and that is one badass outro for the one and only, the future Lance Anoa'i. I am Drew Willingham. Everybody stay safe out there in these streets.
LegacyMaker, the All Sports Network, presents a SIRTOBA media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
What? I'm better than you, and you know it.